In a few minutes the market-place was cleared, the corpse lay on the ground, and the maniac, subdued and exhausted, sat beside it, leaning his gaunt cheek upon his thin hand. Soon some people, deputed by the magistrates, came to remove the body. The unfortunate being saw a jailer in each. He fled precipitately, while I passed onwards to the castle. Death, cruel and relentless, had entered these beloved walls. An old servant who nursed Idris in infancy, and who lived with us more on the footing of a revered relative than a domestic, had gone a few days before to visit a daughter, married and settled in the neighbourhood of London. On the night of her return she sickened of the plague. From the haughty and unbending nature of the Countess of Windsor, Idris had few tender filial associations with her. This good woman had stood in the place of a mother, and her very deficiencies of education and knowledge, by rendering her humble and defenceless, endeared her to us. She was the especial favourite of the children. I found my poor girl, there is no exaggeration in the expression, wild with grief and dread. She hung over the patient in agony, which was not mitigated when her thoughts wandered toward her babes, for whom she feared infection. My arrival was like the newly discovered lamp of a lighthouse to sailors who are weathering some dangerous point. She deposited her appalling doubts in my hands. She relied on my judgment, and was comforted by my participation in her sorrow. Soon our poor nurse expired, and the anguish of suspense was changed to deep regret, which, though at first more painful, yet yielded with greater readiness to my consolations. Sleep, the sovereign balm, at length steeped her tearful eyes in forgetfulness. She slept, and quiet prevailed in the castle, whose habitants were hushed to repose. I was awake, and during the long hours of dead night, my busy thoughts worked in my brain like 10,000 mill-wheels, rapid, acute, untamable. All slept, all England slept, and from my window, commanding a wide prospect of the star-illumined country, I saw the land stretched out in placid rest. I was awake, alive, while the brother of death possessed my race. What if the more potent of these fraternal deities should obtain dominion over it? The silence of midnight, to speak truly, though apparently a paradox, rung in my ears. The solitude became intolerable. I placed my hand on the beating heart of Idris. I bent my head to catch the sound of her breath, to assure myself that she still existed. For a moment I doubted whether I should not wake her, so effeminate an horror ran through my frame. Great God! Would it one day be thus? One day all extinct, save myself? Should I walk the earth alone? Were these warning voices, whose inarticulate and oracular sense forced belief upon me? Yet I would not call them voices of warning, that announce to us only the inevitable. As the sun, ere it is risen, sometimes paints its image in the atmosphere, so often do the spirits of great events stride on before the events, and in today already walks tomorrow. End of chapter 7.